The reason why we have Black History Month is because the reality show is our history was taken out of history, and that's why they have to have this focal point. We need to have it all year round. There's a reason why you don't have Chinese history. There's a reason why you don't have Asian history. There's a reason why you don't have white history, because their history is there and their people have passed it on for generations. They have wiped out of Afro-American people, America's people, that's from Brazil, Argentina, all the way up, right up into Canada. The Afro's slaves, they nullify their history, and you've got a people that don't know who they are and their history. So this is the catch up that we have, and we're going to use that and put positive history into our people.
Sure. Affinity Xtra, be extra.
Hey guys, this is Roger Moore here on Affinity Xtra. We're here to celebrate gospel music of Black origin, and I'm alongside my esteemed guest Kevin Tomlin. You're gonna think to yourself, is he living in Birmingham? He might as well be. You know, he's seeing all the talent and wealth that they got up here, and he's doing a lot of historical things with myself in the city of Birmingham. And we're here in the Black History Month, and we got and now, you know, I have to talk to the historian. Why is it important? What's important about history? Why do we need to be history? Because I think we have a very bad habit within Christendom to think that history is not important. Yeah, but yet our foundation is off a historical book. You know what I'm saying? A Bible book is a historical fact. But yet we don't want to reconcile history, or we select what history we want to lift up. You know what I mean? So, you know, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, why just go in it again? But you need to recognize the importance and the importance of historical knowledge. Yeah, because that's why. And I have to say, guys, yeah, you know, when you get a hidden love towards history, the only reason why I came out of history and I flunked my GCSEs English, my history GCSE, is because when I did history before I did GCSEs, it's all about Antarctica. It's all about the different, you know, like the Scots and all them guys trying to get there. It was interesting. It's about world history. When I get to history GCSE, and what was it about? Industrial Revolution. Who cares? No. It was important, yeah, you see, but it was more to do with English and a bit about history, and it wasn't the history that I wanted and I was passionate about, yeah. And I love talking about, you know, looking at the discoveries of Australasia, looking at the Tasmanian community, which is not there right now, looking at the so-called, no, it's not even discoveries, the so-called discoveries to the European world. That's what it is, discoveries for the European world of other nations, yeah, because their ignorance made them think that they were the only nation in the world. So when they found another nation, they were like, whoa, we found a new land. But we in Trinity lands were all functioning together from a long time anyway. So, but that's a whole nother subject in itself anyway. So, but why is history important? Now, Kevin, straight up, forget black music. We'll be talking a lot about black music. Take music aside. Why is history important? Why do we need to put it down?
Well, governments and leaders repeat the same mistake over and over again. The new school of intellectuals and academians tend for some reason to become arrogant and feel that they know it and they can do it right from the beginning. They have not learned to consult those who have been that way before. Okay. And so they make the same mistake over and over again. That simply means they have not taken the time out to consult with those who went this way before. Napoleon is a typical example of that. Okay. Which Hitler didn't learn from Napoleon, trying to invade Russia. He was doing very good during the summer, but when the winter came, that was a different kettle of fish.
Brother, listen, guys, I have to, you know, when somebody says something, thinking, I thought that all the time, if only Hitler studied Napoleon, he would realize there's one step too far. Every time you step to Russia, it's a different kettle of fish.
You cannot win the Russians during the winter. military-wise, that is a suicide.
And they committed suicide.
And they committed suicide.
If they left Russia alone in World War One, in World War Two, yeah, Germany would be a different country today.
Matter of fact, it would be difficult for the Americans and so on to actually. They would have to send an atomic bomb into Germany.
Yeah, Germany to
actually stop.
Yeah.
Because the Germans were well trained.
Yeah.
They were. They had some serious military strategists.
They groomed for war.
They groomed for war.
Yeah.
They weren't. They fight to win. They fight to win, just like the Japanese, right? And so, the only way to actually win the Germans is to collaborate with the Red Army, according to Stalin.
Yeah, man.
Because if you attacking the Germans from the eastern front and the western front, eventually you would crack.
And when they had the northern lock, and when and they had the attacks coming from the south, from through that still, So sorry if we're going all military, thinking what's this got to do with Affinity Extra? But it's important to make us realize that if you understand history, you won't make the mistakes. Every Sunday, we listen to historical stories to define how we walk in today's life.
Yes,
but yet people don't want to ignore history. But yet, and I find that Christians don't understand what history is. I think that Christian history is different to. I think it's different to.
Well, let's put it secular history.
Secular history. That's it. Secular.
It's total. But what they tend to forget, that when the Bible was written, it was written over 1,000 years. And so there were several empires that emerged and declined during that period. The Babylonian Empire, the Neo-Babylonian, the Mede and Persian, the Egyptian Empire, the Roman Empire, and also you said the Greek
Empire, innit?
Yeah, the Greek,
Alexandria.
yes, and also don't forget the Carthage Empire, that was part of North Africa.
But people don't want to talk about Carthage, bro, because they don't want to draw pictures of Carthage, bro. But the thing is, if they start talking about Carthage too loud, Carthage will be basically African empowerment. If you actually realize the biggest, there's a couple of scary things that happened to the Roman Empire. And one of them was Hannibal the Great. Yeah. And don't get twisted. We all look at my boy 18. Hannibal, you know what I mean? I think that was part of cleansing our mind, thinking that Hannibal was white. He was not white.
No, bro.
Hannibal was a black man, but travelled across Spain, up through France, through the Alps. Got extra soldiers, took elephants, ended up with only 2 left by the time he got to past the Alps, went up the Alps, down again, and then beat Roman on their own ground, the Romans, and then scared them that much, but he got beaten the second time. That's the book. He got caught out, but they were scared of this brother. That imagine, but they used his techniques on him. When they went back, that's why Romans were successful, because they learned from their mistakes, and they looked at history and says, let's not go there, because this is the problem here. Let's not rampant them brothers that way, because they're going to attack us like this, but we're going to use their tactics against them. You know what I mean?
That's right. Come on. And another thing too, why the Romans were great, they studied from the great Egyptian philosophers and tacticians. They learned to build. Because they never really started from fresh. They never started from scratch, did they?
No. They built on the Greek Empire.
Yeah, because they learned from each other. That's how they were actually able to build a formidable military and structural government and principalities and powers. Come on, right? So that's how they were able to build efficient transportation system to get their message across their empire, the known empire of the time, the known world at the time.
Yes? No, I get that.
The known world at the time. So we need to get that very clear. And so when you look at people like Leonardo da Vinci, right? They learned from the masters of the past. That's why it's called Renaissance. They went back. The rebirth of learning.
Yeah.
Okay, because remember the Egyptians and the Magi, these royal philosophical or men of immense intelligence that traveled the whole Roman Empire. They're untouchables, because you could not, if you did anything to a Magi, you get in trouble, actually.
Okay,
These
cool.
guys were at a different spiritual level, and they were black.
All right, man.
Black. They came from the east, bro. They didn't came from the west. Hello.
Yeah, I'm saying.
All the empires that was built in the Ottoman Empire, etc., they learned from the east, from Africa.
But something, I know Bishop's gonna be taking up on this. I think the color of the Bible. Yeah,
Yes,
I don't want to really
yes.
go too much into the color of the Bible. But if people realize from studies that 4 out of 5 of Jesus's lineage wasn't white. Yeah, I'm saying
it's impossible. It's impossible.
So just imagine, you know what I mean, what Jesus looked like if only one of them, 1 out of 5 could have been white, and I said could have been, you know what I mean?
Because if you look at the historical information from historical research, in I say Somalia and so forth, the Bible that's written during that period. And the migrations of Jews all the way up there. There was certainly, well, matter of fact, a white person couldn't cope in that terrain, actually, because it's so hot. It's so hot.
Yeah, man. That's black man.
And eventually the color will change, because you live in a climate. This is a totally different climate.
Yeah.
All right. So, if you look at a lot of the Somalian women, especially the ones that are princess, right? They're so beautiful that they're flawless sometimes. If they take care of themselves, bro, they look literally flawless.
But it shows you the definition of beauty is what we get put in front of us. I was talking to a friend of mine who came very close to Arab royalties, and she said that the way they take care of their woman is quite different than the West. They bath them different, they treat them different. The way they manicure them is all natural stuff. They almost sometimes don't even touch the floor. These royalties, they are treated a princess, and when they get old, they still look younger than the queen. Because I met one of them, and she was 75, and she looked pretty nice. Okay, cool.
There was no wrinkles.
Okay,
no wrinkles when she took off her thing to show me. There was no wrinkles.
But the thing is there, bro, and this is what I'm saying to you, it's about, you know, the importance of knowing who you are and knowing what you do to look after it.
For instance, I see a lot of young ladies trying to be Western. What is Western? When in actual fact, if you look at the Egyptians taught the Westerns beauty.
But according to me, the Egyptians are white.
Excuse me. I don't know how that could be possible. I don't know how that could be possible when they were I don't know if that became possible with Nigeria going back and forth as the
Southern Empire,
royalties.
Southern Empire, and the Kushites,
they migrate with each other and they intermarriage. A lot of people don't realize that when they were doing diplomatic arrangements and trade, their children marry into that royal family to solidify.
Cool.
That's how they do it. You know, just say, okay, you marry my daughter into that royal family, and so we can actually do business, right? Your royal son looks pure. They check out each other. You know, they check the legacy and they check out the pedigree. They very much was into pedigree and royalty and preserving.
Cool. So I get where you're going from.
This is deep. So when you look at people like Queen Charlotte, who was the wife of George III.
This is the king.
Yes.
King of England.
George III married African queen. Hello. Ooh, that really contradicts.
You don't say nothing, people. Keep it quiet. So that part of history got deleted very quickly.
But it came back up again. Because the queen, Meghan, caused a bit of a stir there. And where Meghan was married was where Queen Charlotte was buried. Right? And the city of Charlotte, the city of Charlotte is named after her.
Okay, it's like that. Okay, cool.
Yes,
all right.
yes,
Charlotte in America.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you get a bit of a history lesson there, guys. You know, be pretty proud. That's a good one. So the city of Charlotte was named after the Black Queen of England.
Yes.
Wow.
So that is the Queen.
Wow.
Remember, that's Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth, great grandmother. Hello.
Yeah, man. God.
Ouch.
And the joke is now still, black people are proud of their Scottish heritage that is 4 generations before, which was more forced on them than anything else. But yet people don't want to mention nothing about the history of black people within the royal lineage. You know what I'm saying? Which there's pictures of her in the royal palace.
Yes,
now,
there is actually.
Why are you guys talking about this like this? Because the reality show is, no one told me growing up the lineage included a black person and stand up and be proud. I remember it was a history teacher in a white school that I grew up in. A white old history teacher had to tell off. Maybe this is my I got synergy towards history, bro. Mr. Parker stood up, and when he could see that myself was getting a bit of abuse off the white kids in the class. Yeah, he turned around and said, if it wasn't for their parents, grandparents, in World War 1 and 2, me and my 2 Asian friends, he pointed to us, if it wasn't for our empire people, we would have been messed up. When it comes to war, we would never won World War 1 without them. We'd never won World War 2 without them. And there's a continual, not only one whitewashing of the Bible, there's whitewashing of history altogether. And I'm not saying, Roger, you're saying too much. Oh, just ignore it. Let's move forward. But we can't move forward until it's true, it's thing. When people says to produce history, to be a true historian, you need to get truthful accounts together. So if you purposely change history to suit your creed, your color, what the government said to do, what is that? And that has happened, bro.
Yes, a lot of things have been.
That's not history.
I mean, that is propaganda.
Oh, that's the word. That's propaganda. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, because there's no historical.
So history lesson for me going through school, when they would say that basically, the empire helped civilize the world, that's straight up British Empire propaganda.
But this is quite interesting. The Romantic period, that was during
the so-called Romantic period,
so-called Romantic,
the whitewashing of the world.
So-called, yes,
Renaissance, they call it.
Well, it's after the Renaissance. Actually, it came after the Renaissance. But the Renaissance began that.
Renaissance.
The Renaissance sort of begin what you call the waking of yes, and so with the Romantic period, they established the fact that we need to rewrite history basically and say that we were the enlightened ones. So everything that happened after that, especially during the height of slavery onwards, blacks were treated as subhuman, right? They had to be treated as subhuman, and they had to create a doctrination which became a spirit and a demon in itself. Because if you keep on subjecting and you keep on using the same men to pregnate more women to produce this subhuman species. Okay. So in actual fact, that's how the world became westernized, right? Because what it did was it went into these countries and make sure it whitewashed the intellectuals. Okay. If you remember when Daniel went into captivity, right? Yep. They took him into captivity, but not kill him because of his intellectual ability and spiritual anointing. You know, so Daniel was sort of untouchable in most respects. But the difference with Daniel is that he was connected to God, and eventually, whatever they did to him, they could not destroy him.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is what the style of every empire. They go in, they take the intellectual, they're marrying the woman. They sort of what you call diluted the royal families of the respective countries.
Yeah.
The interesting thing that we need to understand that the African royal family is actually integrated with the British and the French and so on. So they actually dilute them over time.
Over time, yeah.
Yes, and they
yeah,
become mixed race and so forth, something, you know, etc.
Yeah, mixed ethnicity, yeah, man.
But one thing, the most amazing royal families are the ones that was of the Portuguese ingredients, because the Portuguese seem to be integrated very well. More with they just produce very interesting women and boys and girls, because they understand mixing. Matter of fact, I got a history from one of the girls that I worked with, colleagues. She said her mother was about to be raped, actually, in an Angolan village. And the white Portuguese soldier said, "She is my wife." And he saved her from being raped. And he fell in love with her. He did not leave his Portuguese wife. They understood, but he saved her from being raped. What the big question, she fell in love with him as well. That's an interesting story. That is a heavy story. Because
well, you always come out, maybe because Kevin's been around for a bit more.
Yes. Well,
you know, and you have to absorb information over the years.
Yes, I've seen a lot of things. You know, she came up with me and I said, oh, you look very mixed race, but you have a very strong European as well as black heritage.
Yeah.
And then she gave me the story. She said, her mum did not have any other man. She wasn't married to a Portuguese father because he had his family. But they accept her in and they loved her. They adored her. This is the Portuguese girl, mixed race.
Wow.
She said they adored her. Didn't marry, but he loved her to the end. He loved her to the end. And the brother couldn't. He's a soldier. He didn't. But he didn't want to leave her. He made sure he took her out of Angola as his wife.
Yeah, man, because that's a Portuguese territory, right?
Yes. And he saved her. Now, what would you think? What do you think? If she refused him, she would have been raped. My friend said, "Mum would have been raped." But he said, "That's the history right there in this."
In itself, and it's probably, again, and this is what I'm saying to you guys, you know, it's stories and testimonies that build a picture of a culture, a system, and we do know that the Southern Mediterranean cultures have a different approach to black people due to a lot of things. It's not a case that wasn't part of slavery, they weren't part of the system of making money off us as black people, but the reality show is that they got a part to play. And in importance, I want to refer back to, I know Kevin's bringing out stories, which is important because stories and tales are things that we put down together to give people a picture of it. So to solidify the Bible, what you have to do, you have to look up things like Josephus. Josephus wrote a book about the sights and scenes and what he saw around in his time, and that book to this day is a backup to this man Jesus Christ who's on earth and moves that will be made at the time. His book backs up what was happening in the New Testament. So it's important that you have to realize it's important to testify and tell and put out a knowledge out there. But one thing that I would say that is in Afro slave culture is the inability to record history, because that's been knocked out of us due to slavery. And it's important now that we get up and start dying full and put our history out there, because without our history, we're not used to building up our next generation. Every other nation that knows itself has been pushing history. You know what I'm saying? Making sure they know where they come from. Make sure you know Royal Britannia rules the world. We ruled the world. We're gonna tell you when we ruled every nation. They know what they did. They don't know our side of the story, but they know what they did, and what they did, they helped protect us from slavery. They came and stopped slavery. We know there's another side of the story, but the reality of the show is that, you know, we need to get in the habit and push and encourage the how can I say, the recording of history. I get criticized within the gospel scene, bro, for maybe I spend too much time reminding people of my history in terms of events and whatever. So yeah, I get criticized. What's the point of going back to the 80s and 90s, which I'm doing studies of in the gospel scene? What's the point, Roger? Maybe the point is, why are we titting around right now and not getting nowhere is because we don't know our history. That's the reality. This is why, guys, Black History Month, as Bishop said in my last podcast with Bishop, is that, you know what, I find that history should be something we're looking all year round. The reason why we have Black History Month is because the reality show is our history was taken out of history. And that's why they have to have this focal point. We need to have it all year round. There's a reason why you don't have Chinese history. There's a reason why you don't have Asian history. There's a reason why you don't have white history, because their history is there and their people have passed it on for generations. They have wiped out of Afro-American people, America's people, that's from Brazil, Argentina, all the way up, right up into Canada. The Afro's slaves, they nullify their history, and you've got a people that don't know who they are and their history. So this is the catch up that we have, and we're going to use that and put positive history into our people. Talk tales, tell them about what stories you know about your grandma, positive tales, even negative stuff, so we can learn to move forward. You know what I'm saying? So history is key for our growth. We use it every week.
You know, another thing too, that it just dawned on me why black men are so promiscuous. It just dawned on me. Well, they were promiscuous basically by the slaves. The slaves taught them through their DNA to just pregnate women.
Yeah.
And so they actually they just
is that cattle.
Yeah, because I have to say, some people some brothers I know, they're like a roam. They just go from one woman to the other and just drop, and they cannot commit. So there's another problem as well with a lot of should I say black men, you know, because of that DNA and that seed. That's why it's very important to actually take a stock when you go into families and so forth, and to understand history and why that family behave the way they behave. Because history to me is
shapens a family.
Because, history to me is also knowledge, and open your eyes to why, when, how. That's why I wrote this book about the icons of New Orleans, because a lot of people don't actually understand that rock and roll music originated from New Orleans. It's one of the key places, especially the percussion rolling, the drums by the late Earl Palmer. Okay, and soul music as well, rhythm and blues, which impacted Sam Cooke, and the list can go on, right? So, and this is the what you call the fertile ground. And of course, there was a lot of Caribbean musicians, Jamaicans. Fats Domino went to Jamaica many a times to jam. A lot of people don't know that.
And the thing is, again, I was listening to a podcast of a daughter of one of the founding bands of CCM. Yeah, that's you know right, what I'm saying, you know. Yeah. And she described her dad, and I can't remember the band's name, but I'll try and find that podcast I did. I might have to make a mental note. And she said herself, and she has a struggle towards saying, if you say it's a white girl, she has a struggle when you say CRT. She don't like talking about critical race theory. She's very critical about you know what I mean, about Black Lives Matter. She's very critical against it. Yeah, but that's the thing, securities. But her dad, she said that he was into the hippie movement and rock and roll, and he brought that. He got saved, and he brought that sound into worship. And one of the founding bands of the CCM sound. And I'm going, hold on a second. Are you saying that a rock and roll white guy, you know what I mean, which is cool, got his band together and played some great music? The CCM, the scene backed them because you know, it's a great sound. Where was that sound from? Black people. But the problem is, if a black person was on front, they wouldn't get the backing, wouldn't get the support, and white people wouldn't buy the music. And and understanding now, when I'm watching podcasts and they're talking about the sound of worship, and they look at us like we're here teaching black people the sound of worship. You ain't teaching us nothing. You teach us sound, sing on top of it, not in a great way, and then you give it back to us and say, oh, it's cool, like this is the sound of worship. No. We founded the sound of worship, you know what I'm saying, you know what I mean? And it's not about no other colour allowed to touch it. We're not saying that, but stop whitewashing everything, you know what I'm saying? Yo, black and white can do it. We're not fussed. But the problem is, you've made it into a sound which has been, we're bringing this to you. Really, dude?
Bring what? Matter of fact,
it's like me bringing fish and chips to an English house and says, oh, we're here. You come to the Caribbean. Oh, you want fish and chips? Well, come all the way over here for some fish and chips, mate. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But you're coming to so you wouldn't like somebody insulting you from another nation saying, oh, you're going to Chinese. You're not going to, you know, and you have fish and chips in the Chinese, and they said, oh, we're bringing this to you. No, so you were like, no, mate, your teeth is from the shop around the corner here, and you do it in here just in case I don't like the Chinese. Yes, but don't sell it as Chinese. It's insultive, and they don't do that. So why sell us this music like it's not as?
Well, the thing, the one of the big challenges that the music industry didn't really explode until it incorporated black creative entities. It's very simple. Rita Franklin, when she came on the scene and exploded with her single, and Otis Redding, Sam Cooke, Curtis Mayfield, all those brothers were beginning to emerge as creative entities with Motown. The industry went over the $1 billion mark in 1967. It was struggling. That is a fact. I can actually show you the data. It's not. And so I've come to the conclusion now that the real creative power brokers behind the industry and its success are people of black origin. You know, look, when it comes to Larry Gold, one of the top string arrangers, white string arranger, he says, I do soul music. I don't do rock and roll and all that. I do soul music. I do some rhythm and blues. I like my soul music. And he said that's why he does arrangements, and he's made a career. A white guy's made a career off that full time. He's one of the best string arrangers. He's Jewish, but he has an attitude. He likes black music. Full stop. He doesn't even.
And we like him too.
And we like him too.
Amen.
You know, and Gamble Enough love him. They used to work for Gamble Enough. He worked for Timberlake and Timbaland and etc. etc. Now let's think about it. Think about it. One of the most successful string arrangers in history is a gentleman called Benjamin Wright. When you hear "Stop Till You Get Enough," he's one of the few people who made the strings the intro to the track. Completely changed, completely turned it upside down. Total mastery.
Big intro.
Big. And to me, when I took my time out, after a while, I said, you know what, let me sort of study this music. Let me study about, you know, and I start looking, just like I was listening to Patrick and Tony yesterday. We start looking at the credits, and these certain fellow gentlemen and sisters come up all the time on white artist albums and black. And we say, So, and I decided to develop the phrase, the creative power brokers behind the music. Not the artists in front, but the people who define the sound, who give it its energy and depth. and power and impact and spirituality.
Come on.
You know, that's what I'm actually interested in.
Come on.
The Nathan East. You know.
I feel you.
We could go on all night. Nathan East and Earl Palmer, Earl Young, brilliant drummers. Dexter Wanzel, another one who takes strings and synthesize and incorporate it, and it comes fluid, and you can't duplicate it.
Yeah, man.
These total masters who actually study classics to its ultimate level and produce masterpieces that are timeless. That's the sort of history I'm interested in when I write these collection of series. If you want to know what's going on, I'm interested in that.
Here's a question to you, bro.
Yeah, go
so
ahead,
I know
bro.
you're touching some of the some music stuff anyway. So yeah, but let's go back to history itself.
Yes, go ahead, bro.
As a teacher in school
Yes.
and seeing history, yeah, not many people pick it up, do they? After the GCSE level, is it something we get pushed on history and
Well,
whatever?
there's very few people actually take on history. Remember, it's sort of a matter of fact. There's one history that is not being spoken of: the 3-day-a-week situation in the UK during the 70s. None of the history books. I checked it out. I've been in schools, the British system, for a long while, and there's no documentation of the 3-day-a-week in British history.
3-day-a-week. What's 3-day-a-week?
Right, 3-day-a-week is when they had the oil embargo during the Ted Heath years, when the oil cartels, OPEC, actually kept the West at ransom and said that we're not going to produce oil and so on and so on. And what happened, Britain had to go through what you call a rationing situation, where this one street the light is on, and then another street there was no light.
What was that?
That was during the 70s, bro.
Okay, when I was a baby.
Yeah, and that's I remember that quite vividly. And people used to work 3 days a week, so they have to take care of their family. Hello,
Love that, man.
Yeah.
Come like furlough.
yes. That was something similar to furlough, yes, and they survived, right? And that was a global situation that was challenging to the West. 3 days a week. Can you imagine? You instead of working your 5 days, you're working 3 days. So that means 2 days, you've lost earning for 2 days. And you have to take care of your family for weeks on that. And that's not even taught in history. You know, there's several things that is not being taught.
And that's resilience development.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that develops the next generation to know that we can get through this, because my parents gone through the coal mining strike, gone through the 3-day week situations.
Yes.
These things build up societies, but when you continually take out real history to suit a political party's agenda, to suit a people's agenda, to lie to them, to say who they are, tell the truth, because the truth will set you free. You know what I'm saying? You know, so like for me, it's stop taking credit where credit's not due. You know, and something I said to Bishop, you know, and from a history perspective, bro, Black History Month is fantastic, and I love it. You know what I mean? I love what we need to do more about it and talk about it. I'm going to be doing some things on the station and post out some black. I must be proud to be. You know what I'm saying? I'm proud to be black, because we haven't been told to be proud. But we have to show is that they always come up with inventions that we do. Now the thing is, let's talk about when we were kings. Yeah, we are kings. Let's go back into proper history. But the problem is, when you start talking about proper history, you can ask a question: who destroyed these kings?
Well,
that's the problem.
Yeah, you know because the royal. Okay. Oh dear, we're really going to some deep waters here. When you look at those empires, they were so sophisticated that the West learnt of them. Now, you think about an empire that was around a few thousand years before Britain even thought Britain were running around in looking rather primitive, so to speak.
The Druids period, the Druids and Celtic people running things in England that scared people, thinking like the Romans went up here and said, what the heck is going on here? These are savages. These guys are different. These guys are scary.
The different material. It took the Romans quite a while to beat them,
because it's spiritual.
Because that is a demons right there.
Listen, man, watch Britannia, guys.
We have to be careful. Politically correct here.
I'm saying. But the
language.
But the Druids, fair play, they did the thing over here. What we had to show is that basically that the Romans come over here, Caesar tried to capture this land, and it was, you know what I mean, these guys were spiritual savvy. Listen, Stonehenge is no just a couple of stones put round together.
No, bro.
That was a spiritual epicenter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? These things are real talk. So you have to realize that, you know what, and this is why the history of paganism isn't a black thing. And we get taught that witchcraft, the hardcore witchcraft is in Africa. I remember reading things by Christians saying that Christianity in Africa is very dodgy because it's intertwined with witchcraft and spiritualism. Yeah, but I'm afraid prosperity gospel and all these other different things that are so led by white people are full of witchcraft involved in them, a few borrowed
from the Bible. They borrowed techniques and so on, and that's very interesting when they talk about Africa as such. Africa, we got to remember, if you're talking about Christianity, it came from that part of the world. They were close to nature. They understand the power of God in His creativity. Because if that's a fact, how could they build these enormous and incredible buildings like the pyramids, which stand the test of time? You can't tell me that they were savages. Excuse me. Are you stupid? And these people were actual naval. They understand maritime skills. You know, they trade. They go. You know, so I just don't have no time for that nonsense. When you're liberated, when your mind is being open and enlightened, remember you talk about knowledge is power. You have knowledge, you will not perish. People perish because of the lack of
knowledge.
I say it again. People perish because of the lack of
knowledge. Bible truth. There.
Yes, Bible truth. People perish financially because of the lack of knowledge.
Amen to that.
And the Bible talks about financial intelligence. It talks about business building. Everything is in that book. And all the motivational speakers, they get their knowledge from the book and they make it their own, like as if, you know, I don't need no smoking. So listen, just read Solomon alone, bro, and Proverbs and so forth. And Ecclesiastics.
Ecclesiastics, man.
Heavy. I mean, you talk about learning to operate with discretion. That book teaches how to deal with women, men and women. You know, the whole operation. They teach about emotional intelligence. You know,
come on now, so crazy, absolutely crazy creativity, creativity, and the joke is you can't keep on reading selective reading. You got to read the whole you have to go the whole journey. If you're going to look at Solomon, don't just look at Solomon from a Songs of Solomon perspective.
You got to go the
Proverbs, you got to look at Ecclesiastes, Lamentations. You know what I'm saying?
Go deep, bro,
and understand that the guy went through highs and lows and cross-reference his life in where he recollects in Kings and in Samuel, and never look at the King's dynasty and how he fit in things. And was he really a successful king? Yes, he did amazing things, but also he actually built temples for his wives and being distracted.
Well, yes,
distracted for his things. So understand, don't use Solomon, because I've had people use Solomon to justify the utilization of them going to do secular music. I'm not saying you shouldn't do secular music, far from it, but be very careful to use the Bible to justify your position. If you said to me straight, Roger, listen, I need to make some money, You know what I'm saying? And I believe God's got me. I'm a mature Christian now, and I believe I'm ready to be in a scene which promotes anti-me, and I will prayerfully, you know, be led by God, who I work with and who I'm around and how I conduct myself out there. Cool, understand, but do not grab Songs of Solomon as an excuse. Said, oh, so if Songs of Solomon can do love songs, I can go out there and do love songs. Don't be ignorant, because Solomon turned around and said, me chased the woman all my life, and then when I look at life, looking back at all the women and all the money I had, and he says life is miserable. Now the only time, all of my advice is to people, this is Solomon's word, is seek God. Yeah. That's all you got to do in life. Seek and follow God. You know what I mean? Forget the women, forget the money. I had it all, but they push the woman part to me, and when he was running around doing great lyrics, which is great, people, and great intelligence. You know what I'm saying? Great things. He was the wisest. God gave him everything when he asked for wisdom, and you're thinking, yeah, he had everything. But look, before you start pushing these things, and this is why history, and this is where even preachers need to understand history, because you have to contextualize what you're preaching. Because if you're preaching it out of context, it's good as a motivational speech, but it's not biblical fact.
Yeah, because another thing too, which is vitally important, if you're teaching people to become financially intelligent, you also have to teach them to become morally intelligent.
Wow.
Because if you're trying to actually, the worst thing that could happen is a powerful young man with no sexual discipline. He's like an explosive, out of control.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it has to be balanced.
Yeah.
It has to be balanced.
Destruction, because the love of mammon.
Yeah,
I mean, with money. You know what I'm saying? So is the thing, not money, but the love of money. Money is a powerful tool. Yeah, it's a powerful tool to if I had $1 million right now, how would I take the station forward? Oh my goodness sake, it'd be crazy. Have this. Yeah. It'd be great. We all have our dreams and aspirations. Right. I would love to have that situation. It's just not the case, guys. But the reality show is that, but the love of money, the chasing of money, the gratification, how we utilize money, is that when we get it, we can't even share it, man, bro. We don't even put it up for the next generation.
Yeah,
we throw it away.
Another thing too that was really challenging. Let's look at Solomon. Another thing was challenging with Solomon is the sexual integration with these different empires and women.
Yeah.
Because remember, some of these women, concubines and so on, were not schooled in biblical principles. You know, they didn't study the 10 Commandments. They didn't study the thing. They weren't mentored by great Jewish women, mothers, you know, who actually prepared, say, Queen Esther and so forth. You know, these were not a Queen Esther. No, they weren't. They were Gentile women, would have no affiliation or interest in the things of God. That's where Solomon failed. Remember when God instructed Joshua to remember the commandments. Remember, you will prosper. Remember.
Yeah, man.
Remember.
That's it. This is
so
it,
when
guys.
you're moving in, that's why people like Daniel survived in the 2 empires, because he remembered from whence he came and what he was prepared for. Right? So when we go out into the secular world, I remember my dad and mum used to talk to us a lot and said, right, you're going into new territory. Be prepared. You're going into the kingdom of man, which is different rules and protocol. How are you going to fit in that? How are you going to shine in that? You know, if you move in and get the wrong woman, bro, you're in trouble. That can take you away from the things of the Lord. And sometimes predators are in the church that will take the young man and young woman away from the Lord, from the calling. Sometimes it takes a while for them to get back. You know? So
Oh, okay.
We're going into deep. Historically, we're going into deep.
And these things, guys, you know, things. This is why it's important. We're gonna cool down now, bro. We're gonna round it up, man. So, guys, you know, we just made some points, and it's like you're thinking, what people are going, what the heck they're just listening to anyway. So yeah, it's just us talking about, you know, the importance of history, looking at stories that we've been around, that's helped guide us on our walk, understanding and why we need to apply history correctly, culturally, biblically. You know what I'm saying? Because it's important that we get a full picture. You know, when people, I know certain people hate this with me. If Kevin comes to me and says, "But why just so and so hit me?" I go, "Is it?" Now, Kev may want me to go there and box up the person, yeah? But I'm the sort of guy going, okay, cool, Kev. Let's check out. You okay? Yeah, cool. Let me go and talk to Fred. Fred, wagwan. Yo, blood. The man licked me first. And I said, okay, is it right? Okay, great. Your account is different to his account. Who saw this? Jane. What exactly happened here? So you, right, I get the full picture now. Jane collaborated with Kevin's story. So now I can go there. But sometimes we just respond to one account because we're poor analyzers of information.
Yes,
very poor. We quick to jump on one account, one version. So I am not happy with just listening to one version of a type of doctrine, one element of doctrine. Let me have a look at other doctrines. Let me have a look at why I wish. There's nothing wrong into looking into why should I Sabbath worship?
Yes.
Why shouldn't I Sabbath worship? Why did they go this route?
Yes.
Why was the foundations of Jehovah's Witnesses? Why did the seventh day split away and did their thing? The thing. Not even split away. They probably just did it for at the time anyway. Still, yeah. And when people can turn around and say the apostolic roots go back to the church, go to the origins of Christianity. Let me look into that. Let me look at different views of it. If we don't look at different aspects of certain things, when the time comes, we get blown like the chaff in the wind. You know what I mean? And that's direct out of Psalms. But listen, guys, this is Roger here and Affinity Extra. We just talk and strengthen the fact that the importance of looking at history from a cultural, biblical, life experience perspective. And we're having two big man telling you about the importance of how it's directed. And wish I had this information all when I was 11 in my brain right now. If I had this information in my 11, I'll be man, bro. You would be talking, yo, how far? This is when they says that the why. Sometimes what the Bible says about it's wasted on the youth is wasted on the young. He's wasted. Did he use the word wasted in the Bible?
Well, I call unto you, young man, because you're strong, and the wise man is full of vision. So it's working with both.
Yeah,
you know,
it's combining both.
It's part of mentorship, where you mentorship and you let him go with the right foundation.
And mentorship is handing down.
Yes, it's a creative baton change.
Yeah, cool.
It's a baton change.
Cool. And hence why when I do historical stuff, that's why I do it with Kevin, because he's been around and studied a lot more in his thing. So there's no point me starting reinventing the wheel. It's to work alongside and to support and to learn. Yeah. And
you give me a new platform, and I learn from you with new things coming on. So it's a constant learning situation.
And then it evolves and we grow things. And then this is why we need next generation people underneath us right now to come through and learn as well. But listen, this is Roger on Affinity Extra to celebrate gospel music of Black origin. Please, I've heard, I'm checking out my stats right now, but yes, it's true. 50% of the people that watch these videos don't subscribe to the station. You may listen to on the station, which is www.affinityextra.com, but we encourage you to subscribe to Affinity Extra because we got a whole heap of content out there with myself and Kevin talking about historical elements of music, and we're building it up. And people are thinking, why are you building this up for? Because we're building a catalog that a generation in two decades away can look back and go, that's facts. The one thing you can't change is history. So if we talk from a historical perspective, not a future perspective, a historical, that's a fact that the generations could say at that time, this is what they saw, and we're talking what we see. So we hail up and we celebrate Black history because there's so much to be proud of, because, you know, we're just black and proud, and I say it aloud, I think Martin Luther King said that, innit?
Oh, it was James Brown, actually. Black and proud.
Oh, but that's it.
James
Why do you
Brown.
think it was
No. It was James Brown. That was what part of his brand. I'm black and I'm proud.
Yo.
Oh yes, I am
sing
black
it aloud.
and I sing aloud. I am black and I am proud.
The sound's going to James.
Okay, right.
But anyway, let's cool down.
Let's cool down,
James Brown is a whole different person.
Different ball game, ladies and gentlemen.
If we did, James Brown is coming up, guys. Don't worry, we'll touch James Brown because
sooner or later. It's a different groove.
Listen, different crazy man. But listen, let's end this off, guys. Enough love. Thanks, Kevin Tomlin, for jumping in.
Pleasure.
Check out his books on Amazon, right, guys? Right about now, check out his books. It is just put in signature and you find it. Even if you put Kevin Tomlin as a writer in Amazon,
music, yes, Kevin Tomlin, music historian, you will find my book. Yeah,
man. An induction of soul and R&B. Come on, man. R&B heads. Come on, man. You need to get this book out here still.
Yes.
Yeah, it's there, looking lovely. It's got image pictures. I love books with pictures in. I absolutely love books with pictures in because it helps me read. Trust me, it does help. But anyway, this is Roger and Affinity Extra here to celebrate gospel music of black origin. Enough love to everybody and celebrating black history. God bless you.
Peace and love.
Visit us for updates and shows at affinityextra.co.uk.